Asalamualaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, it's been 6 months now, alhamdulillah, since I have been a first-time dad. And I thought what would be amazing is if I make a video and speak about my experience in the first 6 months of being a dad. Perhaps I could help people in... I probably couldn't help anyone, but, you know, talk about my first 6 months as a dad and what I've learned. And perhaps someone who's a few months behind me can learn from my mistakes. So that was my original plan. But then separately, I have a really close brother of mine, a close friend of mine, who is becoming a father for the very first time. And what I wanted to do for him is I wanted to create a video for him privately because I thought that would be a really cool gesture to do. And the video was going to be basically a guide to all of the things that I learned when I was at the stage that he was at, so that basically he could learn from all of my mistakes and fast forward all of the nonsense, right? And then I thought, if I'm making this video for my friend, why don't I just chuck it up on YouTube and make it for everyone? And so what I decided to do is create the ultimate Muslim dad guide, the practical guide, the practical ultimate Muslim dad guide, the ultimate practical guide to practically being a new dad as a Muslim. So here's the deal. Our wives are expecting, and they're watching vlogs, and they're watching how-to videos, and they're preparing, and they want you to sit through that stuff too. And all you're thinking is, can I please just get a fast-forwarded, straight to the point, what information do I need to practically make sure that I have everything I need in preparation to be a dad? And here I am. What do I need to buy? How much does it cost? What do I need to be prepared for? What do I have to do for that? How much sleep deprivation am I actually going to go through? How do you go about finding someone to circumcise your son? What I've decided to do is I've decided to put together this video which basically outlines all of the things that I wish that I had, which alhamdulillah I was blessed enough to have because I have older siblings who are parents and stuff like that. But still, I think there's a lack of content that talks about practically the things to prepare for, but also from an Islamic perspective, not from an Islamic perspective like rulings and fatwa. I'm not a person of knowledge, and so I can't give rulings and I can't give like Islamic advice. But just generically, I think hearing it from one Muslim to another is always beneficial. The point is, I'm aware that this is going to be somewhat of a lengthy video, so what I've gone ahead and done is I've time-stamped all of the categories that I'm going to be speaking about in the bio. So if you're just going to get bored and you don't want to watch through the whole thing, you can click on the timestamps and just go to the thing that interests you. But my intention here is to cover everything from birth until like the first few weeks after birth, rather than going over my entire 6-month journey, just to kind of go to things that I feel like if I had, I would have been grateful for, you know. So that's the intention here. How the video is going to turn out, we don't know. Okay, let's get started now. So before I start, we have to give a few disclaimers. So if you want to skip the disclaimers, go ahead, go to the timestamp. So disclaimer number 1: people have different experiences. I'm just talking about my experience. I'm a first-time dad too. I don't have advanced knowledge of being a father. I don't even really do most things right, to be honest. But I can speak about my experiences because I have literally gone through them. And that's what this video is. Disclaimer number 2. This, again, relates to my experiences. And there's going to be a lot of people who are in different situations to me. There's going to be men who are single dads. Also, there'll be situations where they're single moms and stuff like that. And I'm sure this video will be beneficial somewhat to mums as well. The idea of it is it's more of a branding thing, you know? Okay, disclaimer number 3. I'm not giving medical advice. Anything that I say anything I say, you should get checked on the NHS website or from an actual doctor. So if I'm saying, for example, like a technique that I found that helps me put Zakariya to sleep, maybe the technique that I used isn't safe for your child because your child, you know? So get checked. Disclaimer number 4, Islamic advice. So I'm not going to be giving any fatwa because I can't. I literally don't have the knowledge. But I think it's very important to seek Islamic advice in everything that we do in life, right? We're Muslims, our life, we live it by, we submit to Allah. Everything we do should be governed by the Qur'an and the Sunnah. And so I would very much recommend that you watch the Muslim Family series by Ustad Muhammad Tim Humble, which I'm going to link below. And also, you know, seeking Islamic advice generally on all of the matters and also generally. Another disclaimer. This video is not sponsored by anyone. So any products I recommend, it's just my experience. Also, I'm going to maybe put the Amazon affiliate links for the products in the bio, which means that if you buy it through that link, it gives my YouTube channel a bit of a kickback financially. Although I think that Amazon, apparently because of coronavirus, have like really reduced the amount of money that they are giving to their affiliates. So I don't know if it will benefit, but do it anyway. Maybe I'll get 25p or something. Anyway, thank you. Last disclaimer is that the intention behind this video is for my friend, the first time father, who's going to remain anonymous. The point is that this video could probably best benefit someone who's about to become a father for the first time and is thinking, what are the things that I need to know?
Just tell me the things I need to know.
So if you know anyone who is going through that, slide them this vid, you know what I mean? Alright guys, that's all the disclaimers, so let's get into it. Point number unos, okay? Point number 1 is, be prepared to be the biggest sideman to ever exist. And be proud of it. So being a dad, you'll realise that mums and women in general are amazing. Amazing. And when your wife becomes a mother, all of a sudden, you see a side to her that you've never seen before. And you think it's like she's unlocked a superpower that you didn't know she had. And some of us would have been married for 4 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years before even we become parents with our spouse. And then, so you think you know everything about your spouse, and then it just hits you like a ton of bricks, and you realize how amazing they are. And they have this intuition that we will never have, right? And it's just this motherly instinct. And in that, the point is you will never be able to replace them, right? A mum is a mum. But what you can do is you can be a dad. And there's things that a dad does and thinks, and ways a dad thinks that a mother perhaps won't. But generally, a mother is just amazing. And the point is you have to accept that you're going to be a sideman, okay? You have to support the woman in a lot of this to the best of your ability, but you have to not let your ego take a hit. In fact, you should be proud of it, you know? So an example is when we talk about the day of the birth, which we're going to go into as like the 4th topic, I think. On the day of the birth, your job is just to be a great sideman. Support your wife. You can't go through the birth, but support her as much as you can. Anything she needs. If she's being like aggy with you, and don't get offended, just accept it and just be a solid husband. So that's tip number 1, is you have to accept, you have to be comfortable with that there's going to be times where you just need to be supportive. That's it. Your role at that point is to be supportive. Another example, if for example you guys have decided that the baby will be fed naturally, there's nothing really that you can do. Do you know what I mean? Like, the baby's being fed naturally throughout the whole time. Nothing you can do. But you can be a good sideman, you know? Maybe you can help prepare stuff. Maybe you can go get the expressing machine. Maybe you can go put the bottle of the milk in the fridge. You could get the bottle if like the bottle has been expressed earlier, or you can get it out of the fridge, you know? Things like that, but just helping out. Anyway, point number 1 was, be content with the fact that you will, in many scenarios, be a sideman, and that is a-okay. A-okay. I'm going to close my laptop because I don't need it open, it's probably blocking view. Right, topic number 2 is what to buy in advance of your baby being born. For a lot of these things, your spouse will, she'll be excited, especially the fact that you guys are becoming first-time parents, about about buying lots of fresh things, and I don't want to ruin that experience. And I think there's something very special about you guys yourself doing your research and going shopping and trying to find the right pram and something that you guys like. However, there are some things that I think, you know, man to man, I'm just going to help speed up the process for you guys, right? And so I'm not going to talk about clothes. I'm not going to talk about buggies, prams, and stuff like that. But I'm going to talk about some things that I think you just need to do. You just need to do it. Number one. Okay, so first of all, with regards to buying the bottles, we use the MAM bottles, M-A-M. And the great thing about these bottles is that they're self-sterilizing, which means that there's a way that you clean these bottles in which you just clean them, you put them in the microwave, and they sterilize. So you don't have to buy a sterilizer machine. You don't have to like sterilize it in boiling water in a pan. You just clean, you just break apart all of the compartments of this bottle, clean it all up, put water in it, shove it in the microwave 3 minutes, Bob's your uncle, and you got a sterilized bottle. Now, why do you need a sterilized bottle? Basically, when your baby's brand new to the world, everything has to be like really clean and sterile. And over the months, that changes. You know, now Zakariya 6 months, you know, it's not as big of a deal. But at first, everything has to be sterilized. And so that's a key point. Now, what I used to do is I even used to clean his toys. Like if he was putting like a toy in his mouth and stuff, I would use boiling water. I'd like bathe it in boiling water so that I'd like sterilize it. I don't know if that works. Again, I have no idea. But there you go. So grab the MAM bottles. Save yourself the hassle. Don't get other bottles. Grab the MAM ones, right? M-A-M. Oh, also, this needed to go in the disclaimer. Right, I'm going to shove this in the disclaimer and then I'll be back. Alright, I just done the disclaimer and shoved that at the beginning. Back to what we were talking about, the MAM bottles. Okay, next. So next on my list is the ISOFIX. So when you're getting the baby in and out of the car, you got two options with the car seat. You either just get the car seat and then you have to like strap the seatbelt in and around the car seat and it's all a bit of a palaver, or you can buy this thing called an ISOFIX base, which basically is it's this base that you click into your car and it makes everything so much easier, because when you're going out and about with a baby, all you do is you click instead of so that's always locked in the car, right? And so now what you do is, instead of having to mess with a seatbelt, you just take the baby and you clip the baby in the car seat into the car on the ISOFIX base, and then when you're going out and about, you just click the baby out, you press a button and you take the baby out in the car seat, and it makes things a hell of a lot easier. So you're in the house, you're getting ready to go out. You put the baby in your car seat, put the seatbelt, strap him into his car seat, which everyone has to do. Now you got your baby in your car seat in your hand, you're still inside the house. You leave the house, you open the door, you unlock the car, open the door, you just click him in. And that's it, he's done. He's seatbelted in, nothing else needs to be done. Then you go somewhere and you need to get him out. You just press the button, you clip him out, and you got the car seat in your hand. So that's the ISOFIX base. Really, really recommend that. It's not cheap, but having a baby ain't cheap, man. Okay, next thing is the adapter for the pram. So this links to the car seat. If you have already bought your pram, and I don't want to get involved in the discussion of which pram you guys want, because I don't want to have a fight with your wife, and the wives are very passionate about, you know, mashallah, which prams they want and stuff like that. They've been thinking about this their whole life, okay? But whatever pram your missus decides to go for, right? Ideally you want to go for a pram that works with your car seat. So all you have to do is you click him out now, or her, sorry, not being biased, but I just have a him. So if I say him a few times, you know, I'm not being sexist, I have a him right now, okay? Now, you clip him out of the ISOFIX. You got his car seat in your hand now, and you just click him into the pram. You don't have to take him out of the car seat, disturb him. Maybe he's sleeping, he's crying, and you got to put him in the pram. You got to buckle him in. It's long. All you got to do, clip him out of the car seat. You put him into the pram. Now, if your wife or you have already decided, or you've already bought the pram, your best bet is buying the adapters, and that's what we did. We found a pram that we liked, and to be honest, we found the pram that was cost effective. It was in the sale, and it was from like £600 or something crazy like that, all the way down. You had hundreds of pounds off of it. So if you guys find a pram that's like within the budget, and or like you just like it, but it doesn't work with your car seat, like that was a scenario that we had, just research to see if you can get an adapter for your car seat. And the car seat that we got is called the car seat that we ordered is called the Maxi Cozy Rock. It's sick, okay? I'm gonna save you guys a hassle researching. Get the Maxi Cozy Rock. It's absolutely great. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna link the ISOFIX that connects to the Maxi Cozy Rock. The Maxi Cozy Rock, right, works from 0 to 12 months, whereas some car seats are 0 to 6 months and stuff like that. So it saves you money in the long run. Also, you just take the insert out, and then it works for a bigger baby. And the ISOFIX is perfect for it. So that was the ISOFIX and the car seat that we got, and we still use. And I've got 0 complaints. So save yourself the hassle. Just grab that. Next, with the pram, I can't remember the name of the pram we got. It was like exclusive to Mothercare at the time, and we all know now what's happened to Mothercare. So let's not go into it, but get yourself an adapter, research an adapter that works with the Maxi Cozy Rock, shove it in your pram, Bob's your uncle. That's prams, car seats, and bottles done. Let's tick it off the list. Car seat done. Coat. Okay, you got to buy a coat. So this topic is all about, this section of the things is things that you need to buy before your baby's born, by the way. So you need to buy a coat, like a snowsuit, which your baby can leave the hospital in. So depending on what time of year you're watching this, or what time of year your baby's born, our baby's born in winter, so we had to buy a coat. We had to buy a coat that the baby could leave in. I mean, it's as simple as that. I'm not going to long it out, but we bought a snowsuit, like an entire outfit that is like really furry, because remember, your baby's got to leave. Yeah, your baby's got to leave the hospital, inshallah. And if the baby leaves the hospital, you've got to have the car seat and the coat. So buy a coat. Next, nappies. Now, I know nappies, I said I wasn't going to talk about the little micro things, but nappies, the reason I say this is this. I'm going to save you guys the biggest hassle ever. If you're in the UK, honestly, get your nappies from Sainsbury's, Tesco or Asda. Like the Sainsbury's branded ones, the Asda branded ones, or the Tesco branded ones. Don't get Huggies, don't get Pampers. I don't even say it because of price, because I was that guy who was like,
my son's going to have the best
quality things. But guys, listen, yeah, this is the best quality. So because of the lockdown, I had to bulk buy nappies, right? So I bought them off Amazon because right at the beginning of lockdown, nappies were sold out everywhere, right? Because everyone panic bought them. So I bought Pampers, okay? So we went with the advice of my siblings and just would buy the supermarket ones, right? So this was my first experience with Pampers. The first time he wore Pampers, he had like the like crumbs of the Pampers nappy had fallen all over his privates. The second time he wore it, or even the first time, he almost pierced it with his wee. Like his wee, like the Pampers couldn't handle his wee. Like he was too heavy. And that's never happened with the Asda nappies, never happened with the Sainsbury's nappies. So we can't even use the Pampers. Now I have like 300 Pampers nappies, and I can't even use them for the night time. Because in the night time, obviously, they pee a lot more. And so their nighttime nappy is heavier. But the Asda nappies and Sainsbury's nappies are fine. So nappies wise, guys, I saved you money there, and I saved you time of trying out different nappies. You are very welcome. Nappy changing mat, you guys can research that one yourself, to be honest. All right, next, the grow egg. You need to get a grow egg. As a dad, I think one of the things that I found is that as a dad, you're a lot more cautious of like, so I feel like in my experience, I seem to be a lot more cautious of like safety and precaution. Not to say that my wife's not conscious of safety and precaution, she is. But the point is that I think that she's more conscious of like making sure the baby is happy and safe and stuff like that. And I'm more cautious of like making sure that the environment at all points, and I overthink it. And I think as dads, we overthink. We at all points are just trying to make sure that the environment is fine. And so one of the things about that is the grow egg. So I'm gonna go grab our grow egg right now. Actually, no, forget it. I'm gonna just put up a picture of a grow egg. So the grow egg, you plug it into the wall and it tells you the temperature of the room, right? If it's red, it's too hot. If it's blue, it's too cold. If it's yellow or orange, it seems to be all right. And then according to that grow egg, you know how to dress your baby for the nighttime to sleep, because your baby can't overheat at night and the baby can't be too cold at night. Although in Sweden apparently they they like put newborn babies out in the cold to sleep because apparently it's good for them. But point is, you don't want your baby to be too hot or too cold. And so the Grow Egg has helped me a lot, because there's other ways you can check the temperature, like through your house thermometer thing that deals with the heating, or through an app and stuff like that. But the Grow Egg is really good because you can just quickly look at it, look at what colour it is. If it's red, it's too hot. If it's blue, it's too cold. You don't need to know the details, but it does tell you the details if you need it. Buy the Grow Egg. Cool, you've got the Grow Egg now. Next, sleeping bag. So it's very unsafe for a baby to sleep with a blanket. According to our midwife, and midwives give different things. When your baby's first born, for like the first 4 weeks or something, your baby can't sleep in a sleeping bag. I don't know why. Again, research this, but I'm just telling you what we learned, right? My experience only. Baby couldn't sleep in a sleeping bag until like 4 weeks or 6 weeks. So then the baby had to sleep in with a blanket, but the blanket would have to be like below the baby's belly button so that the baby doesn't bring it up over their face, right? But when they're that small, they don't really have the ability to do that. But but obviously the safest thing is to have the blanket below the belly button, right? But after like 4 weeks, they can start sleeping in a sleeping bag. Now, sleeping bags are the best. They're so safe because basically, if they're sleeping in a sleeping bag, it's like attached to them. So it can't go over their face. So like, they're inside the bag. It's really, really good. So the sleeping bag that we just absolutely loved was the sleeping bag that I'm going to link in the bio, which it was a thick one because he was born in the winter. And on top of that, it's a thick one, but it has this compartment. It's really good quality. It has a compartment where you can change his nappy without taking the sleeping bag off. So I really, really recommend that. And I think that sleeping bag was actually by the Grow company as well. No, it was by Snooze. S-N-U-Z. Snooze. That was the sleeping bag. Really recommend it. Also, if your baby is born in the summer or you live in a hot country, you're going to want to go for a sleeping bag that has a lesser tog, like a 0.5 tog or a 1 tog. So right now it's a summer, so now Zakariya, he's using either a 0.5 or a 1 tog sleeping bag because it's going to be too hot for him to have that Snooze one that we just mentioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a chart that there's a chart that I found online that really helps with understanding what your baby should be wearing to sleep depending on the temperature of the Grow Egg. And I'm going to put that chart here now, so just screenshot this because it's really helpful. Right, sleeping bag done. Cot and pram done. Next on the list of the things that you want to buy is the Tummy Tippy machine. Now this is if you're bottle feeding your baby. If, for example, for some reason you guys choose not to feed the baby naturally, or sometimes obviously there's medical reasons why the baby can't have the mother's milk, or there's medical issues with the mother, etc, etc. And so if you guys are bottle feeding or you're mixed feeding, really recommend the Tummy Tippy milk machine thing. I'm going to link it. It's amazing. So here's what you have to do. When you normally, if you're bottle feeding, what our parents used to do is they used to boil water, and then wait for the water to cool down because the water has to be sterilized, right? So they'd boil the water in a pan, wait for it to cool down, and then pour the boiled water into the bottle or something like that. Or they would use cooled down boiled water, and then you'd have to warm the bottle up by putting the bottle in boiled water so that the bottle heats up, and you're waiting maybe like 20 minutes and your baby's screaming. No more, says Faisal. Reason being, with this machine, you just press the buttons and it makes the milk with the correct amount of milk with the correct amount of water, with sterilized water at the perfect temperature for your baby to drink it now. It's expensive, but this machine is probably single-handedly the most useful thing we've bought for our baby yet. Secondly, the Tummy Tippy flask. Tummy Tippy flask, it's only like 12 or 15 pounds, and it's good for when you go out and about. You can warm the bottle in it, you can put some sterilized water in it and other things. It's really, really good. Highly recommend. Not really much more needs to be explained about it. Next, the baby carrier. The baby carrier is like the thing that, like, you know, you strap it around and you have the baby inside. I didn't know if I would be the type of person that wears one.
But I wear one, man.
Why? Because it's helpful for when you're going on walks, because you don't always have to take a big buggy, especially if you're just going out quickly. one. Secondly, it's a great way you can help your wife because you're taken care of just like you've got the baby. And thirdly, it's also good just around the house because sometimes your baby just wants to be like, just wants to cuddle, just wants to like be close to you, and you got to get on with things. Put the thing on, chuck the baby in, and you can just get on with things, and the baby's satisfied because the baby's like next to you. So baby carrier. Next, okay, pram adapters, we spoke about that. Okay, the last thing that I'm speaking about in this portion, okay, the last thing is the rocker. Now the rocker that we went with, we got gifted this, right, by Omar, and it was the best gift, yeah? We still use it, which is a bad because he needs to learn to not sleep in a rocker. But the point is that you put it in the corner of your room, it's big and bulky, but it's, so those times where you don't know where to put your baby, you want to put your baby somewhere safe, and I think you can use it from birth. You put it in this rocker and you can strap the baby in, and the baby's just in the corner of the room, and you can get on with your things, and the baby's content there. You know, your baby's just lying there. It has two ways. It lies a bit flat and it sits up a bit. So when your baby's newborn, you have to probably put it flat, and it's just perfect for those times. It's just really good. It's really good. Now the other good part about it is that it has it rocks automatically, where some you have to keep kicking it or you have to do it manually, but this one you press the button and it has like 5 or 6 different settings. It's really good, this rocker, guys. Honestly, I can't sing praises about it enough. It also has a white noise setting. If your baby sleeps easier with white noise, like our baby, you can play the white noise. It's so good. Honestly, guys, it's so good. Right, well, there we go. That is the portion of what to buy in advance. Next, we're going to talk about finances. Okay, so I've just spoken to you about all of those things that you need to buy, and you're probably thinking, how on earth am I going to afford all of that? Don't worry, Big Fais's got your back, okay? Don't worry, don't stress. Now, money-wise, I have 4 tips. No, 3 tips only. It's a quick one. The first tip that I have is, as soon as you find out that you're having a baby, start piling and stacking money. This was a piece of advice that Dave Ramsey, who is one of those kind of like finance gurus, but one of the rare ones that I have found has really impacted and helped me in my life in a positive way. And his formula basically is stop all extra investments and just and stop all like paying off debts and stuff. And just pile your money, because you're going to need a lot of money at the beginning stage when your baby is born. Now, we need to take that advice with a pinch of salt, however. The reason being is because I would recommend that you look for Islamic guidance on this matter as well. Because if, for example, you have debts, especially if your debts have interest, which is not permissible for us, the advice may change. An Islamic scholar might tell you that it's better for you to, for example, pay your debts than to save money and stuff like that. So if your finances are a bit complicated like that, speak to someone for Islamic advice and just make sure that you know, it's fine. But generally speaking, you know, really focus on saving right now. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2. Don't be shy when people ask you what you want for your baby. Your friends and family will probably say, oh, you're having a baby, what would you like? Don't say, oh,
no, nothing, we have everything, no, we're going to get everything in advance.
You know, utilize that, guys, because it's so expensive having a baby. And if people want to get you guys gifts, let them. And what we did is I put together an Amazon list of things that I needed for the baby. And that comes into use for me anyway, because I can tick things off that list. And you can just send that list out to everyone. And on that list, you can put some things that are, you know, cheaper. Something like the Tommy Tippy flask is like £15. The baby carrier you can get for 20 quid. And then there's things that are really expensive, like, for example, the rocker and stuff like that. I forgot to mention when I was talking about things to buy, the snooze pod. So this is the bedside crib that we have. It's amazing and I have no complaints about it, so I'd really recommend the bedside crib, the snooze pod, for when your baby is like 0 to 6 months. That's annoyed me that I didn't put it in the money section, because some people might just click on the money section and now they haven't heard about the snooze pod. Tip number 2 was let people buy gifts, get an Amazon list together, send that list out to anyone who says, what do you want for your baby? Just say, oh, we've got an Amazon list with like loads of different things on different price ranges. So whatever you want to get, I'll send you the Amazon list. And what they can do is they can purchase that thing, and then I think it then goes off the list. So if somebody else goes to that list, you know, you won't have the same thing twice. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is, and this is the most important one, guys, and brothers, I really want you guys to please take this in. Rizq comes from Allah, money comes from Allah, and when you have a baby, things just get sorted and you just don't know how. And I promise that's the case. But there's something that you guys have to do for this. There's something you guys have to do for this. Before I tell you what you guys have to do, I just want to say that if you don't believe this, speak to anyone you know who has a child and say to them, around the time you had your first child, or your child, whatever child that you had, it can be a 3rd or 4th, whatever. Do you remember a situation where something happened where everything became easy for you financially? And they'll probably say yeah. And guys, I can say the same thing for me. In fact, when Zakariya was being born, we actually went through a bad stage where, in Freshly Grounded, we were doing this transition. We just finished our deal for our last live event, and we were signing a deal for our next live event. This was the period where we were in negotiations. And so the money had run out from that, and we hadn't yet got the money from the next one, and it was a scary time. And out of nowhere, Allah blessed me with like 1 or 2 contracts, personal contracts, that gave me enough money basically for to just completely see me through that entire period, plus like the first couple months of Zakariya's life. So I'm a living example of that. But the thing that you guys have to do, and you have to do this, is you have to have yaqeen. You have to have like full 100% confidence that Allah will provide for you. And you have to do your bit, you know, do your bit to try and, you know, seek your rizq, but have that trust. Okay, that was the money section. That was quite quick. Next, we're going to go on to the day of the birth. Okay, brothers. So when it comes to the day of the birth, this is a day where really and truly the Sideman thing has to kick in. All you can do is make things as easy as possible for your wife today. As easy as possible. So tip number 1, have the car ready at all points. Around the time that that you know is the due date, and even 2 weeks before, make sure there's always petrol in the car. Make sure that you have the hospital bags in the car, so that when, even if it's in the middle of the night, it's like, right, it's time to go to the hospital, you just jump in the car and you go. You got petrol, you got everything that you need. Even, I would say, have some clothes ready, like a little hoodie and a tracksuit bottoms, just so you can just chuck something on and go. Expect the unexpected. You don't know what's going to happen on this day. It could be, inshallah, it is a smooth delivery textbook, or it could be drama. And I'll tell you this, that no 2 births are the same from the things that people have been telling me. So expect the unexpected. And at this point, you know what? I think naturally as a man, you go into this state on this day, which is just a state of, okay, it's time to go. What do we need to do? I remember for us, it was around Fajr time. And so my wife woke me up and she just basically said, it's go time. Okay, it is Friday, 6:57 AM. She just jumped in the shower while she's not in any pain yet, because it's probably going to start in a second. Or in a minute, I don't know how these things work. Let's make her a hot water bottle. And I had all of these prerequisites of what that day would look like. And I thought it'd be emotional, and I'd be like, I wouldn't know what to do. And what happens is, she woke me up, she basically told me it's go time. And my first thing that came out of my mouth is, okay, what do we need to do? Like, I didn't even say, really? Like, oh, are you sure? It was just, I just said, okay, what do we need to do? And I just, boom, my mind went into overdrive. Right, the car's ready, this is ready. Okay, have you got yourself ready? Right, you jump in the shower, I'm gonna ring the hospital, we're coming in. And it's just practical. And I think every man goes into this state where it's like fight or flight, where when these important things happen in your life, you put all emotions to the side and it's just go time. There's no time for emotions now. And that's what you need to be like. You need to be as efficient, as possible. Yes, you need to have emotions, but at the right times. Like, as in, you need to be there for your wife and stuff like that. But for the most part, you're just trying to make sure that everything is being done to make things easier for her. And again, this happens again when the baby is born. So when Zakariya was born, I had all these ideas of what it would be like. I thought I'd be bawling my eyes out, crying. And again, I speak on an episode of my podcast about the day of Zakariya's birth, because there's a few complications, and he didn't, at first the baby's meant to cry, and that's a sign that the baby's okay, and the baby didn't cry when he was born and stuff like that. And so instead of crying of happiness, I went into efficiency mode. I was like, okay, what does my wife need? What does the baby need? Is there anything I can help with? Why is the baby not crying? Boo. Do you know what I mean? So I think you'll go through your own experience in that. The other tip for the day of the birth is, okay, so I've got this, be there for everything. Just be there, be present, be physically there. Anything that is needed, you need to be there. Forget about yourself. You're never going to forget this day for the rest of your life. And you don't want to look back on it and say, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. Or I wish I didn't think about myself as much. You just need to be the yes man. The first nappy change. Okay, so on this day, once the baby is born, the baby's nappy needs to be changed, right? Now, oftentimes the mother-in-law might change the nappy, or the midwife. I actually requested the midwife to help me change the first nappy, and to let me change it. And the reason I requested that is because I wanted to get involved, and I wanted to go through that experience. And so I'd really recommend it, guys, because your wife, she's knackered, she's just had a baby. She's not going to be in a physical kind of situation where she's going to be up and about changing nappies. And so instead of letting the midwife do it, who would do it, or letting your birthing partner, like your mother-in-law, your mother, do it, why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? I'm joking. It's worth it, man. Because you just get to experience that. And also the first poo that your baby's done is like really black and dark and horrible. And you should go through that. So do that. Ask the midwife to teach you how to change that nappy. Okay, that is my practical advice for the day of the birth. Next, the month following the birth. So the next few weeks following the birth. Now for me, and I can only speak about my own experience, my experience here again was completely different to what I would have expected it to have been. People say having a child is the best feeling in the world. It is. But at first, it's such a big shock to your life that I actually had really bad anxiety. I had really bad, they say mothers go through this thing called postpartum depression. And it's like they go through these feelings of, it's different for different mothers, but what the midwife was basically explaining, that is this feeling of like, your life's not the same anymore. Every time you go out, you have to think about your child, prepare things for your child, and all this kind of stuff. And it's a natural thing, and all of their hormones are all over the place, so it's natural. It doesn't mean that they're ungrateful. And she also, this midwife, explained that fathers go through this as well. And the way fathers go through it is less hormonal, and it's more, your life's not the same anymore. And again, it's not you being ungrateful to Allah. You are grateful to Allah for the baby, but it's natural to have your life's been flipped upside down. You can't leave the house anymore just like that. You have to make sure the bottles are prepared, the nappies are prepared, nappy bag's ready, the car seat's ready, the baby is safe, the baby's been fed. The baby's nappy's been changed. It's a lot. And so for the first few weeks, I went through this like anxiety and like worry. Like I didn't understand my new life. And the baby at that point is such a responsibility. You can't leave the baby alone for a second. Whereas when the baby's 6 months old, he's in his high chair eating, or no, that's not good because you have to be there for that. But when the baby's 6 months old and like, I don't know, he's in his cot playing. He's in his cot, and you can leave him, you got the camera on him and stuff. But when the baby's first born, you can't for a second leave the baby. And that's difficult at points. And it's okay to feel like that. But here's what I want to say to that. I want to say that it gets so much better and so much easier. You have to ride the wave. You're just getting used to this life. And I promise you, once those first few weeks are done and you've got used to it, and you've got a system for changing nappies, and you've got a system for getting them ready for leaving the house, and you've got a system for when they want to feed, after those first few weeks, guys, I promise you, there is no better feeling in this world after being a Muslim than being a dad. There's no better feeling. Alhamdulillah. So please just ride that wave and know that it will get easier. Okay, practically wise, if you have a boy and you're shaving his head, how to shave the head. Me and my friend, only we did it together. One of us held the head, the baby, and the other one shaved him. We got advice of my friend Sam, who's a barber, who basically said make sure that that the machine is clean. You can shave the head, and we even bladed his head with like. And I'm sure you guys will understand this, and you'll do the same. I didn't just want to shave his head with like a disposable razor. He's a brand newborn baby. I was so scared, and so I went to like Sainsbury's in the supermarket, and I bought the most like Gillette Fusion Mach 3, like whatever it was. It was like the maddest blade that like it spins on a ball, and it like has the gel on it. I just wanted to make sure that the blade was clean, and I wanted to make sure that it didn't cut him and anything like that. So I made sure I got like a 15-20 pound one-time use razor, and we shaved his head together, and alhamdulillah, it was easy. You know, the baby's very small. It's not difficult at all. In terms of practically, you want to make sure one person's holding the baby and the other person is very softly, very slightly shaving the baby's head. You're dipping the razor in water to make sure that the hairs come off, and you're going in again and again and again and again. And you're not using any products that are not safe for the baby, because a lot of products are not safe for a baby at that age. You can't be using like alcohol, and I think alcohol, I can't remember, but like all of these things that have like don't use shaving cream and stuff like that. It's a lot easier than you'd think. A lot easier than you'd think. Circumcision wise, we waited until, so there's a date according to the Sunnah, I think, that you're meant to get circumcised, and I can't remember what that is. So if those with knowledge can comment it below, let us know with the appropriate evidence that would help the brothers watching this video right now. But circumcision wise, there's not really much to say, to be honest. We took him, so through friends and family, we found out about a reliable a doctor who does circumcisions. And so if you live in London, we went to a doctor in Harrow Road in London, like kind of like the Ladbroke Grove area. He has a clinic on Sundays, and his name escapes me, but like Dr. Muhammad or something. He's very popular. The fact that from what I've explained now, a lot of people will know who I'm talking about. Very good. Had a very good experience with him. But generally, you want to make sure that you pick someone who has been recommended, and I know that the Mariam Centre, I believe, in East London does it as well. So ask around to see where people got it done from. If you had a boy, and to be honest, I think different people have different experiences. And the circumcision day was the day that I was the most nervous, because I just didn't want anything to go wrong for Zakariya, obviously. But they give you advice on how to look after the baby after. We would use like lots of like a big clump of Vaseline with like cotton wool after to like help soothe him, and very quickly, you at that point it's a period of time that you feel like every day you just check in to make sure he's alright. But now looking back on it, it was like a very small amount of time. Within a few days, the ring had come off. There was very minimal bleeding, if any, at any point. He didn't even scream. I actually watched the whole circumcision, and it was hard to watch. I watched everything. But I just felt like as a dad, I needed to be there for him and watch it. But again, you just got to be there and cuddle them a lot and give them a lot of love and affection, and make sure that you're doing what the doctor told you to do, but don't stress too much about the circumcision. The Vaseline, man, and the cotton wool was really what helped us. Omar gave us that advice. That's circumcision. Next, we're going to talk about the sleep and the feeds. All right, brothers? So this is a big thing. When you're having your first baby, when you think a lot about what are the night times going to be like. And I'll be honest, the night times can be tough. Every baby is different. Some babies sleep through the night, some babies keep waking up, etc. Again, I can only speak about my experience. So inevitably you're going to get some disturbed sleep anyway. Zakariya was such a good baby. He slept through the night a lot, but even with him for the first few weeks he didn't, because they have to feed like, I can't remember now, like the midwife will tell you how often they need a feed, but at the beginning he was having like 2 ounces every hour and a half. I can't remember. But the point is this: what can you do during the sleep and the feeds? Okay, if your wife and the mother of your child is feeding naturally the mother's milk, there's not much you can do, right? But there is. Here's what you can do. Help by, at first our plan was we both wake up, right? Every time the baby wakes up for feed, but then you realize that that's not practical, because if one of you can sleep and the other one can wake up, then when the next the next time the baby wakes up, the other one can sleep and the other one can wake up. And this you do whether you're bottle feeding or feeding naturally. And the reason I say that is because if, for example, you've chosen to express milk, then you will have, even natural milk, you will have it like kind of stored in the fridge and stuff. So you could work something out where, you know, if the baby wakes up twice in the middle of the night, one of you wakes up, does a feed, and changes nappy and stuff, the other one can sleep. And then the next time you say to your missus, look, let me wake up for the next feed. And that really helps. It makes a big difference, man. It makes a very big difference. So that's one thing that you can do to help in the night times. Another kind of a few sleeping techniques that I found. Okay, so we were recommended white noise by midwife, and that really helped us. So you can buy a white noise machine, or you can play white noise on your phone. And we often found that the baby, when they had white noise, really easily fell asleep because they emulated the sound that they would hear in the womb, with, like, you know, the mother's just like the blood rushing around and all of that kind of stuff. They're hearing white noise, they're hearing like just background noise, and sometimes they just need that background noise to soothe them. So white noise really helped. I'd say try that out if your baby's really struggling to sleep. The white noise tends to have to be louder than the baby's screams. That's what the midwife told us. And if you don't have ability to play white noise, which you would because you're watching this video, which means you probably have a phone or a computer, but if you don't, like your phone's dead or something, you can do the Hoover in the house and stuff like that. I watched this video once about putting baby to sleep by this doctor, and it really helped because it helped Zakariya to sleep often, and it was like just getting him in emotion, right? So when he was newborn, when he was a few weeks old, I'd hold him like this, so his head's here, his body's here, he was so small, and I would just like go like that with his head, like, so his head's just like bouncing a bit, really small amount, just like the video, and he'd fall asleep because he's just like going like that. I'm falling asleep doing that, to be honest. That's a really good rocking technique, so have a look at the video, and I'll try and link it in the bio. Man, I'm gonna have to do a lot of linking in the bio in this video. Right, that's your sleeps and feeds sorted. Now it's come to the general advice. General practical advice for a dad in the first few weeks of birth is babies are stronger than you think, and we worry a lot as dads, and I learned that I worried a bit too much. I'll give you an example. When you put your baby to sleep, you got to put your baby on its back, right? And my fear was, but what if he vomits? Because babies vomit a lot at first, right? And the midwife said when your baby vomits, they naturally know to turn their head to the side, and they vomit to the side so they don't choke on it. And then I realised that that's what Zakariya was doing. And I thought, how amazing is it that Allah's created them in this way, where in their fitrah it's natural for them to be like that. So babies are stronger and cleverer than you think. The other thing I want to say is read Qur'an as much as possible. Read as much Qur'an as possible. And the reason I say read as much Qur'an as possible is because even from birth, right? If your baby is just always seeing you read Qur'an, they're hearing you read Qur'an, they're seeing the dhikr of Allah on your tongue. Imagine as they grow up, all they will ever remember, or they'll always remember from ever since they could remember, their dad would always read Qur'an. And so, you know, somebody asked a question to Yusha Evans when I was with him, and they said, how do we make our children of the Qur'an, children who are good Muslims? And he said, you become like that, you become a good Muslim, you become a person of the Qur'an. Because when your child, all their life, all they ever see is whenever their dad has some time to relax, he picks up the Mus'haf and he starts reading Qur'an. Eventually that child, when they're old enough, they're gonna see you sitting by yourself, and they're gonna go grab the Qur'an and they're gonna bring it to you, and they're gonna say, Daddy, you haven't read Qur'an yet, or it's time to read the Qur'an. Or they'll say, Daddy, teach me how to read the Qur'an, I want to be like my dad, right? So if you want to have that as a child, you want a child who's a child of the Qur'an, which ultimately all of us want, then make sure that everything that you do is like a person of the Qur'an, and you try your best to read Qur'an. Another general piece of advice is your patience will be tested a lot, and your relationship with your spouse will be tested a lot. I feel like in some ways I am a great person to give advice for this, and that sounds so big-headed, but I say this because of this. I say it because I have always struggled with patience, and I still do. And so this isn't coming from someone who's like the most patient man in the world saying, oh, just be patient. It's coming from me who struggles with it, right? But anytime I've bitten my tongue, anytime I've stayed quiet and I've done an action and I've just removed myself from a situation, I've really been thankful for it. There's going to be times when your baby's screaming, man, and you got work at 6 o'clock in the morning and the baby's screaming at 3. And you're thinking, bruv, please, But if you go and just while out, you know it's just not going to be beneficial. So try practice that now. Also with your relationship, your life has become around the baby now, right? So again, like we said this at the beginning, we'll say it again at the end, is that the person that this is the most life-changing for is your wife. Because you go to work, most likely, and all of this kind of stuff, but the child can't survive much without its mother. And so for the mother, that's become its life. And the mother, even mentally, even if she is away from a child, even if she does get a break, she can't stop thinking about her child. Right? Us men have this like ability to, when we focus on a task, just focus on that task. And so knowing that, try and bring back parts of your relationship pre-child when you do have your child. And that means when your child is old enough to be looked after by the grandparents, trust that they'll do a good job, you know, and tell your wife we're going out on date night. And or have a date night at the house, but when your child's at the grandparents, and you order in a takeaway and you dress up nice, you know, these things make a big difference in saving your relationship. Also, one thing that I found is that sometimes as men, right, we just like to get something done for the sake of getting it done, right? Like for example, if the baby's sleeping and man, I can't think of an example, but my point is that one of the ways that you can really make your wife happy is by making sure that those moments where you're being a dad, which is always, but I mean like you're doing dad things, right, with your child, that you give it your all, and you look at your child and you enjoy those moments, because your wife will watch you enjoy those moments, and that will make her happy. Well, because you could get it done where feeding your baby and answering your emails. You could do that, and the baby won't know any different really at that age. And the baby's been fed, the emails have been answered, and everyone's happy, technically speaking. And that's what we like as men sometimes. But if you just put your phone to the side, you're feeding the baby, and you're looking at your baby, and you're just thinking, wow, you aren't clocked where your wife is watching you, and it makes her happy to see you be a good dad. It makes her happy to see you happy. It makes her happy to see you with your son like that. And that's a great way to increase your relationship with your wife. So take heed of those small things. Lastly, with regards to your relationship, there's going to be testing times, man. Testing times. Because your life, like I said, just rolls around a baby now. But make things easier for yourself by creating systems. The less decisions you have to make, the less chance for arguments and stuff like that. So one of the peak times where you could end up in an argument is when you're leaving the house, because the baby's got to get ready, the baby's bag, the milk, the eggs, the milk, the nappies, all that kind of stuff. That could end up, that's like tensions are high, right? Because you're trying to get ready, she's trying to get ready, you're trying to get baby ready, like, and you will have to leave the house in half an hour because someone's waiting for you. That's a prime time where you could have an argument. If you set up a system where every time you need to leave the house, the baby, getting the baby's bag ready is not an issue, that's one less thing that could cause an argument. And it's very easy, because what you have to do is there's certain things that go in the baby's bag for when you leave the house. A spare pair, like a few spare nappies, spare wipes, some clean bottles, and stuff like that, right? If it was me, I am me, okay, my advice is, when you're not leaving the house, yeah, when you're just chilling and you have no plans to leave the house, have a bag ready for the baby, for then when you have to leave the house, the bag's ready. It has a clean bottle, has clean nappies, has clean wipes. Even if you have to go out and buy an extra pair of bottles just for that. Do you know what I mean? Like little things like that. Having systems like that in place will make the world of a difference. Having a system in place for when you're changing nappies, which is like, for example, like having a nappy mat and a nappy caddy with the correct stuff, having ready, having bath time stuff, a system ready for bath time, have one drawer where all of the bath time stuff is. Things like that make the world of a difference and just de-escalate problems in the house, because a lot of the problems and arguments that might happen might just be because of tension, because you're panicking about the baby. But if you sorted out a lot of systems for the baby, you're going to panic less. And so that is the end of my general advice. Wow. I am tired, guys. That is the ultimate practical guide for a first-time dad who is just about to have a baby. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know if you found it beneficial. If anybody else has any other practical advices, drop them below in the comments so we can all benefit. Check the links in the bio, and Please, if you made it this far, it'd be amazing if you could hit subscribe and become a subscribed member of this channel. It would help me a lot. Thank you very much, and I pray that Allah blesses you with an amazing journey of parenthood, and blesses your children and your families, and gives them health, and puts barakah in your wealth, and gives you good in this life and the next. Ameen. Alright guys, Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamualaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.